I saw an article on Stacker about the best suburbs in the entire state of North Carolina, and I was happily surprised on how well Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and High Point did. Especially when you factor in the popularity of places like Raleigh and Charlotte, the Triad area, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and High Point did really, really well on this list. So not only are we going to go through those suburbs here that made that list, there is one that's missing, a very popular suburb that did not make the list. If you know that, leave it in the comments below, and I will buy you a cookie from Dewey's Bakery. But seriously, I've helped many clients buy and sell real estate throughout all these suburbs. I live in one of them. I'm traveling to them and working in them on a very regular basis. So not only do I have my own experience, but through the clients that I've helped buy and sell real estate there, I've asked them what they liked and haven't liked as much about these areas. We're going to go through all of them, and we've made an upgrade. You may have previously heard of the Valentino 5000 supercomputer. Well, I'm happy to report, to serve you better through optimization and regular exposure to morning sunlight, we have upgraded to the Valentino 5500 supercomputer. I hope you enjoy it. Being serious, I hope that this helps you do a little bit more research and evaluate some of these suburbs. If you want to take a deeper dive, I'm going to link a playlist where I've made different videos on the suburbs below. So if you want to go deeper on any or all of these areas, take a look at that link below at that playlist. Check out some of those. You'll also find my Google reviews and my contact information if you need help buying or selling real estate. All right, these are in no particular order, but the first one on the list is Jamestown. Jamestown is a suburb of Greensboro and High Point, kind of, and I have to tell you, it is a gem. It is one of the most under the radar suburbs in the whole area, in my opinion. I'm going to give you population figures on here so you can kind of gauge amenities and things like that are in these areas. So Jamestown has a population of about 3,600. It's kind of in between High Point and Greensboro. And like I said, it is really a hidden gem in the Triad. Now there are not a lot of people there, so there's not a ton of houses there, but it is really a great little town. It has a small downtown, but it's really cute. And it's also, Jamestown has some really good restaurants. A couple that come to mind right away are Southern Roots and Black Powder Smokehouse. We've written a full article on this on the Living in Greensboro website. But also here, the schools tend to be desirable. There's a decent variety of housing in here, from upscale neighborhoods to affordable neighborhoods. And you also have High Point Lake Park, which is an amazing park that I don't think enough people know about. It has a seasonal amusement park. It's got a pool. It's got some great children's areas in there as well. There's an aquatic center there. There's a marina where you can fish. There's just a lot of different activities at this park. It's really a good size as well. They even have train rides and things like that for the kids too. I guess some of the downside of this would be is it's a small town. It's 3,600 people. And you have, basic amenities that are there. Like I said, some good restaurants. There's some basic shopping and things like that. But for most things, you're going to want to go to Greensboro or High Point. If you're making your Costco run, good news is that that's only about 15 minutes from Jamestown. You can get to downtown Greensboro in about 20 minutes, downtown High Point in about 10 minutes. And then there's also going to be the commute for work. Odds are you're probably not going to work in Jamestown, so think about that commute if you have to get to Greensboro or Winston-Salem on a regular basis. If you need to get to downtown Winston-Salem from Jamestown, that's about a 30-minute drive. So that would be some of the trade-offs that come with a small, quaint town like that. Is like you're going to have to travel outside of it. The nice thing is it is really close to Greensboro and High Point, and just about 30 minutes to downtown Winston-Salem. All right, next on the list is Clemens, North Carolina. With a population of about 22 or 24,000, this is one of the most popular suburbs in the Triad. It's consistently ranked on Niche as one of the best places to live in the entire Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and High Point area. And I made multiple videos about Clemens. Those are linked in the description below if you want to take a deeper dive into those. But really, I describe Clemens as kind of the most real, fully developed suburb. And the reason I say that is it just kind of reminds me back more of the suburbs when I moved from Chicago. It just kind of reminds me of that. Clemens has a lot of shopping, a lot of restaurants, a lot of different things to do, quite a few different parks. I mean, they have patio homes that are geared towards retirees. They have neighborhoods that attract more families. There are homes that in southern Clemens that are a little bit more rural feeling with larger lots. So you have a big variety of housing in Clemens. And because it's right near 40 or 421, getting on the highway to commute to different places is really simple. But with that popularity comes a couple of the downsides that I hear from people pretty often about Clemens. And the most common one is that it's getting crowded. Clemens had a real growth spurt in the last, decade plus, where the population has increased a lot. And some people that live here kind of think it's been too much too fast. There also happens to be a lot of new construction going on in Clemens right now because it is in higher demand, so that's a bigger chunk of the housing in Clemens. So no, if you're coming down Louisville Clemens Road or you're going to get on 40 during those tend to be a little bit busier times, it is a little bit more crowded. It's one of the more crowded places in the triad. But from where I moved, it's nothing like the crowds and hustle and bustle of the suburbs of Chicago, so nothing really like that. But for the area, it is a little bit more crowded. Next on the list is Oak Ridge, North Carolina. This is a suburb of Greensboro. And Oak Ridge is a fantastic suburb. I almost moved there when I moved to North Carolina. With a population of about 7.6 thousand people, it's not a small town, but it's about a third the size of Clemens. So it's not crowded. It's almost kind of in that just right size. You have a small town feel, but there are still some decent amenities. And actually, since I mentioned it in the last video, there are some even better restaurants that I found in Oak Ridge. One of those is Joey's Burger Bar, really good smash burgers there. And the other is Gusto Pizza. They have some great wood-fired pizza there as well. So it's good to see some restaurants coming into the area. There are other restaurants there as well. But it's nice to see the area growing still kind of slowly. And again, 7.6 thousand people, that's not a huge town. It's still a small town. But so just kind of think of that. But there are some more things coming here. You have your basic shopping and different things like that you're going to want to do. But probably one of the things that I like the best about Oak Ridge and what my clients tell me that they like the best about the area, it has some of the nicest lots in the entire area. I mean, there are just really some nice homes on some gorgeous, gorgeous lots in Oak Ridge. A lot of larger lots. So if having a big yard is important to you, Oak Ridge will be really desirable. The public and private schools in the area are highly ranked. People tend to really like those a lot as well. And to go along with the lot size, maybe the con to that pro is in Oak Ridge, you tend to have more well and septic than some of the other suburbs that are on this list. So if having well water or a septic tank is a big no for you, you'll definitely want to look closer before you think about moving to Oak Ridge, because there is a little bit more of that here than normal. And probably the other kind of thing I hear about Oak Ridge is, well, there's some good things to do. They're getting more restaurants, shopping, and things like that. You're going to have to go to Greensboro or Winston-Salem for a lot of the big shopping and things like that. If you want to go to Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Costco, you're going to be heading down to Greensboro most likely for that. So, 15, 20-minute drive, something like that. So not a lot of those bigger things in town, but reasonably close by. But again, not in town. Some people kind of don't like that. And then next on the list, actually right next to Oak Ridge, is Summerfield, North Carolina. And this is a little bit larger than Oak Ridge, but it's going to be very similar in a lot of ways. Summerfield has a population of about 11,000 people. This again has highly rated public and private schools, if that's important to you. And for being one of those, not too big, not too small type of places, it does have a decent amount of things to do right in Summerfield. You can get to Lake Brant really easy if, kayaking, hiking, or lake activities are really important to you. That's really simple to get to. And Summerfield has a little bit of a reputation for being a little bit higher end, with some higher end homes there and a little bit above average income for the area. And really the only downsides I hear about when people tell me about Summerfield that they talk about is, one is the commute to Greensboro for a lot of your everyday things, similar to like we just discussed in Oak Ridge. And the second thing is, it seems like there's a lack of things to do kind of right in town in Summerfield itself. So again, that's some of those trade-offs of having that, smaller town where it's not quite as large as something like a Clemens or Kernersville would be, but you're going to have a trade-off there that you're not going to have as much right in town. You're going to need to go to Greensboro most likely for a lot of those things. And then the other thing I hear, and this could be good or bad for you depending on, how you like to live, but Summerfield kind of can feel a little bit off on its own sometimes. There's a developer that wants to develop thousands of units over the next 20 years in Summerfield, and they're kind of battling back and forth with the city on that. So that's an on again, off again type scenario. But it's something that you should know if you're thinking about moving to the area. I saw some of the renderings on there. I think looks like it was really going to be nice, well thought out, kind of something like a Brookberry Farm in Winston-Salem with all different levels of housing in there and a lot of different amenities, but still maintaining a lot of green space. Again, something you should know if you're thinking about moving to Summerfield. Next on the list is Louisville, North Carolina. With a population of about 13,000, Louisville tends to be one of the more popular suburbs in the entire triad, let alone around Winston-Salem. Consistently A and A+ rankings on niche.com. People like Louisville for its location, really simple to get to Winston-Salem. You can be downtown in about 15 minutes. So kind of the opposite of what I just mentioned about Clemens earlier in the video, Louisville has taken a really slow, measured approach to growth. The town has some rules about, no billboards on the road, no fast food drive-thrus, different things like that to kind of preserve that small town feel. Louisville has a great public library, a really nice town square where they do a lot of events, food truck festivals, movies in the park, free concerts out there. They do a lot of stuff in the town square there that really makes it a great place to go and hang out. Louisville is also really sought after because it has some of the higher ranked schools in the area. So when I talk to clients or people that move here, they want to come here generally to get around the schools or the simplicity to get to downtown or to get to Clemens. I mean, Clemens is right next door to Louisville. And I guess one of the knocks on it would be there's not a lot of things to do right in town. You have your very basic grocery stores and shopping. You have a couple restaurants here, not a ton. So other than those very basic things, you're going to need to travel for that. Now, I'll say Clemens is 5 minutes away. So that's really easy to get to. You know, whatever you need to get to in Clemens has a lot more variety of shopping and restaurants and things like that. Plus, like I said, you can get to downtown Winston-Salem in about 15 minutes. Trader Joe's, Whole Foods are about 10 to 15 minutes away. Very simple because Louisville kind of butts right up against Winston-Salem and Clemens, so it's in a really great spot to get to all these different things. But you should know, in the town itself, there are not a ton of things to do. All right, next on the list is Stokesdale, North Carolina. This is a suburb of Greensboro with just under 6,000 people. The things people like about Stokesdale when I'm asking them is there are a lot of access to outdoor activities there, whether it's Ballew's Lake or different hiking or trails and things like that. Easy access to that in Stokesdale. Plus, it's kind of one of the up-and-coming suburbs, people tell me as well. Your money can go further out there in Stokesdale. And I get so opposite of that, and with it being the size that it is, people tell me it does feel much more rural. That might be a good thing or a bad thing to you, but Stokesdale is the furthest north of any of the places that we've discussed on here, so it is a little bit of a longer commute if you need to get to Greensboro or Winston-Salem. That's a big one to keep in mind. I've had clients that I've helped them sell a home where they're just in Stokesdale, but just the commute down to, you know, Greensboro or High Point just got to be too much, so they just wanted to be a little bit closer. So think about that if you're thinking about moving to Stokesdale, because chances are for work you're going to need to commute to one of those areas. If you need help buying or selling real estate in any of these suburbs or anywhere in the area, I'd love to be a resource for you. You can reach out to me directly at jeff@govalentino.com. Thanks.